Welcome to Driving.ca. I'm Jay Canna and I'm with the 2024 Acura Integra Type S. And Acura is going for the what's old is new, because in 2023, when the Acura Integra came back, it won North American Car of the Year. And the last time we saw a vehicle from Acura in this segment was 2005 with the WRX Type S. And a lot of times passed, but here we are with this, and Acura decided to ride the wave of the Integra retro name, bringing it back to a modern vehicle. And here we have the high performance Type S. In this video, we'll talk about what it looks like, what differentiates it from a regular Integra, what it looks like on the inside, again, more modern changes, and most importantly, how much fun this only 6-speed manual vehicle is to drive. Starting with the outside, it still bears the familiar Integra shape. However, it's 2.8 inches wider, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but on such a small vehicle, it absolutely makes a huge difference. The front track is 3.5 inches wider. The rear track is 1.9 inches wider. You'll notice right away that there is a hood scoop, and it's not decorative. It actually works and helps bring air into the engine. You have these big wide fender flares both on the front and the rear, and it's just done well enough. It's not overkill, and it's not so minimally done that you wonder why they did it. It adds a lot to the vehicle, gives it a really nice aggressive stance as well. You'll notice that there's a little spoiler, and you can get a larger one as an option, paid option of course, but if you opt just for out of the box, it's a thin deck lid spoiler. The big news here around the rear is the triple exhaust, and not only does it look beautiful, it sounds remarkable. The regular Integra has dual tailpipes, one on each side, but what Acura has done here is really gone big, because if you're going to bring out a Type S, you may as well bring all of the bells and whistles. And between your drive modes of Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus, each of those drive modes intensifies the snap, crackles, and pops of the exhaust sounds, and it sounds really good both inside the vehicle and outside. Acura has decked out the Type S with Pilot 4S tires. They are 19 inches, and Acura says that despite the Integra A-Spec having 18-inch tires, these 19 inches are actually lighter than the 18 inches, and it's 9 inches wide for the tire spread as well, so you really get lots of grip. And you throw in again those Pilot 4S tires, which are really sticky, and you get tons of traction, and you're always well planted regardless if you're going straight ahead or twists, turns, and curves. With a lot of power in the vehicle, you've got to find a smart and safe way to stop it. Acura's given the Type S Brembo brakes. They're 4-piston front calipers. The rotors up front are 13.8 inches, and the rear rotors are 12 inches. So really big brakes, because again, when you have over 300 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque, you got to be able to stop this thing. Overall, the look of the Type S is something I'm really impressed with. They didn't deviate too far, and if you remember the last generation Honda Civic Type R, it was just wild and edgy and all over the place. And what we have in the new generation for the Type R is something a lot more subdued. And I found that Acura has used that model very well, because you don't have an over design. You have just enough of flair, just enough of aggressive design without it being too much, and it's not going to get looked at and laughed at. Some vehicles are over the top. I'm pretty impressed with the design on the exterior for the 2024 Acura Integra Type S. On the inside, it's a lot of the same as what was on the outside. So you have the framework through the regular Integra, non-Type S, but what you get here are beautiful, beautiful suede seats, and you can get them in red or black in Canada. Americans do get an option for white. Unfortunately, we don't get that here, but the red or the black are really good choices. I say go with the red, which is what you see here, because there's no option for a sunroof. They wanted to save the weight, make this a real performance vehicle. So it's a little dark in here right now, even with the red seats, so I can only imagine how much darker it'll be if you had the black interior. You get a beautiful fully digital instrument cluster. You get all of your information, again, just like the Integra. It's easy to use, easy to pull your information from, and you also get a standard heads-up display, which I don't usually like, but I find it suits the Integra Type S quite well. With this being manual only, you have a beautiful shift boot. The shift knob feels so good, and the etching is in red because, well, it's a performance vehicle, and just that extra little bit helps, and you have Type S embossed at the base of the shifter. And a throwback to the previous Integras, when you go into sports mode, the needles go yellow. And I think that's such a small, tiny, but yet effective move to really show that Acura cares about the resurrection of the Type S. And if you go into comfort, your gauges are blue. You go into Sport Plus, it goes into red. You do have an option for an individual mode as well. We'll get into more of that on the driving side. And thank you, Acura, for making it an actual physical button instead of making us dig through the infotainment screen to change drive modes. With the red interior, there are dash inserts as well, and it looks pretty sharp, as well as door inserts. I like that Acura has gone for the colorful option here and at least given us one option instead of just black or black some more. Interestingly, this is a 2+2 configuration, meaning there is no middle seat. What is there are 2 cup holders, and what there is not is an armrest that comes down, and they just wanted to have that extra sporty piece to the rear seats. And I think you can still have a livable vehicle. I don't know anybody who likes being in the middle seat, so hats off to Acura for tossing something that nobody likes and hardly anyone uses. The Type S sees heavily bolstered seats, much more so than the Integra itself, and I noticed it having driven the automatic Integra and having driven the manual Integra across a couple of different trims. I can say that these seats are absolutely so well matched for the Type S. They keep you in place. It's not as uncomfortable as those Honda Type R bucket seats. They're good seats, they suit the vehicle, but I don't think they're great on a day-to-day basis in the Civic Type R. It's the complete opposite here on the Type S. They are so comfortable. There's plenty of support both on the sides and on the thighs, but it's actually comfortable to sit in, and you don't usually find that in high-performance vehicles. And I think, again, Acura has done a great job of blending form, fashion, and function. Tons of power, but they want this to be a daily driver. They don't want this to be something you pull out only in summer months. Cargo space comes in at nearly 700 liters, which is pretty impressive, and it also has that deep lip as well, so you can really get a lot of things in there. There's not really a lot of sacrifices. Now, I'm here by myself doing this first drive, so I have a piece of carry-on luggage, I've got a backpack, and I've got a tripod, and that easily fits in there, but it looks like you could fit double that amount easily and have a little more left over. So if you're doing a couples or friends road trip or a weekend away, you can easily get a couple of carry-on suitcases, backpacks, overnight bags as well. A small quirk as we wrap up the interior, on the digital instrument cluster, if you so choose, you can have the gear you're in displayed. Yes, you can go in and manually override it, but I think it's an interesting move, and usually in high performance cars you don't see that too often. But again, Acura has really gone for the full form and function here. We've talked about the outside, we've talked about the inside. Let's get to the fun stuff, which is what it's like on the road. So under the hood, you have a 2.0 liter VTEC turbo for 320 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, front-wheel drive, and it is a manual-only vehicle. I think that's a smart choice to make, especially if we're going towards electrification and you want to go out with a bang. Acura said, you know what, let's just make this manual only, just like the Honda Civic Type R. Two big highlights here: there's a limited slip differential as well as adaptive dampers, and those really make a difference both in city streets and on highways, and if you're in between on rural settings. It's a smoother ride, it makes it a much more livable vehicle, and I'm doing twists and turns up in the mountains of California, and it's so responsive, and it's hardly got any oversteer, hardly got any understeer, hardly any torque steer at all. It's so well balanced, it's planted, it hugs the turns, it does exactly what I want it to, and it has to if it's going to have the Type S badge. Now let's talk about the clutch feel and the gear shifting itself. It's a short throw, It's very notchy, but it is very accurate. And the clutch feel isn't heavy at all. And I was kind of expecting it to be heavy because the steering feel is a lot heavier than the non-Type S Integra. And it's a tuned vehicle, so I was expecting it to be heavy, and I wasn't disappointed. But what really set it apart for me is the fact that it's not overly heavy, and it can go and be daily driven without any issues. You're not going to feel, oh, well, I have to drive the car because it's my only car, and the steering feel is just so heavy and it's uncomfortable and it's cumbersome. You don't get any of that here. It's very well weighted. You definitely feel a difference, and it helps as far as giving you a good driving feel, a good sporty driving feel for that matter. And Acura says they want this to be the sportiest Integra ever made, and this is the 4th iteration of it, going back about, well, I think 30 years, and they've come through. It's very well balanced and very responsive. Helping to make this performance vehicle an easier drive is the fact that Acura has included rev matching, and it's not for everybody, but I find it really helps to smooth out the drive. There's 4 drive modes. There's Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Individual. Comfort is exactly what you think it is. It's good, well-balanced driving. Sport amps it up a little bit, and usually the jump between Sport and Sport Plus and a lot of other vehicles I've driven is a little noticeable, but not a big major change. But I find in the Type S there is a significant change. So little physical flick of a button, little chime gets me from Comfort to Sport, and there's an increased responsiveness. Things are tightening up a little bit, but I go up one more into Sport Plus, and you just feel so much more that the vehicle can do, and the vehicle does itself. Things are extra tight. Steering feels, if there was a way to have it more precise and heavier, Acura has found a way with the Type S to do that, and it feels good. It's not unmanageable. Now, the interesting thing is you have the individual mode, and I strongly suggest to not set everything to the highest settings, because that's what Sport Plus is for. The individual drive mode has its own separate button, and you press it once to get into that actual mode, but if you want to configure it, you hold it down, and your settings include the engine, the steering, suspension, as well as what you want your gauges to look like. The way I have mine is my engine is in Sport Plus, steering is in Comfort, suspension is in Sport, and the gauges are in Sport. So it's a good balance of what I specifically like. But the good thing is you have a lot of freedom to customize it and make it exactly what you want it to. Remember those triple exhaust pipes I was talking about? Well, it's a high flow exhaust system, and it has an active exhaust valve. And what does that mean? Well, depending on the drive modes you put it in, that gets you more snap, crackle, and pop. So Comfort, it'll show up on the high rev side, so you really got to get the car screaming before you feel the effects of it. In Sport, it's there at lower revs, so you hear it more. And Sport Plus, it's just on all the time. It is loud, it is crackly, it pops, it sounds so good. And I'm happy that, you know, with Acura still making this a livable car, they haven't sacrificed the fun side of a performance car. The Integra itself is a great vehicle, and then you go out and add all of these performance bits that you see here with the Type S, and it takes it from good to great with a bunch of exclamation points. Simply put, the Type S is a livable, fast performance vehicle. Yes, it only has 4 seats, but it does the drive so well. The shifts are precise, their handling and responsiveness and twists and turns, and even straightaways are done with absolute ease, and you don't have to compromise by sacrificing comfort to get speed and power. The Type S does them both extremely well here. If you've got any questions on the 2024 Acura Integra Type S, let us know in the comments. We're always happy to engage in respectful conversation. For more news, reviews, and information you can use on performance vehicles, both in the luxury and non-luxury segment, visit our website, Driving.ca, and connect with us on social media. For Driving.ca, I'm Jay Canna.